Okay, so don't forget, you're gonna look here. Do not look at yourself.
I won't.
As pretty as you think you are, don't look at yourself. Look here. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to be asking my husband, a homeschool dad, some of your questions. So most of these questions are in fact directed at him, so I'm going to be looking at my phone to ask him the questions. So if you've not really been around our vlogs and have only seen our sit-down videos, this is my husband. His name is...
Matt.
In case you forgot. No, I didn't forget. I want to make sure you didn't forget. Okay, so the first question is, how long have we been homeschooling our kids? So last year was our first year, making this year our second year. So I still feel like we're a little bit newbies, but we're kind of getting into the swing of things. So this is our second year. All right, next question is, what is your curriculum? We're not going to go into all of that right now. I do have a video back from the spring when I filmed a haul where we got all of our curriculum in, and I will link that video now. Okay, so let's get some more questions that actually have to do with you. How did you feel when I first suggested the YouTube channel? No. Nope.
I was like, okay,
nope.
That was a
wrong question.
Yeah.
So what are your concerns? Like maybe your fears, or like kind of like your cons maybe of homeschooling our kids?
Yeah, fears that you don't, I don't know how, if they're progressing, if that's something that if they're, at the level they're supposed to be at, by whoever sets those standards. And so
yeah.
Just that we would be behind, or that we wouldn't realize it until it's too late.
Well, and I would say that was Tesla, could you pick a less obnoxious toy? I would say that was one of my concerns too. Concerned that they would fall behind and I wouldn't even know it, or something like that, and it would basically be my fault. So that's a concern I had as well. So another question. So as far as the YouTube channel goes, when I started it, did you have any thoughts? Did you care? What did you think when I started the YouTube channel?
Well, when we started it, it was kind of like the idea of it being something just kind of document some of the things that we've been doing, and
yeah,
we would, I think it kind of started, we kind of got more serious about when we went to California, and
yeah, because before then I had like 60 subscribers, and it definitely was not consistent.
And we were shooting on a GoPro.
Yeah, it was
like
it was not good. Granted, this is not so great either because it's getting dark and I've got a squeaky dog over there. But
so now it's kind of evolved into a little bit more than that, and so it's kind of cool.
How do you feel when I drag you into the videos? He loves it.
It doesn't happen often.
No, but I think maybe as we start to do more vlogs and stuff like that, you'll see more of Matt. Because you're definitely not the primary person for homeschooling the kids,
right,
since you're at work. So, do you feel like you know what they're learning even right now? Like, do you feel like you know where they are?
Probably not as much as I wish I did.
Mm-hmm. As if they were in normal school, probably.
Well, less than that, because they don't have homework necessarily. Mm-hmm. Their homework is done by the time I get home at night, so most...
Well, they don't really have homework, yeah.
Yeah.
There's not busy work.
Yeah, but anything that they have work to do is done by the time I get home. And every now and then I'll get to hear, see a report or see a project or see that we'll work on something together. We'll do a volcano thing we did one time, which was a lot of fun. So it's just those kinds of things. So a lot of my stuff is more hands-on with them, not necessarily sitting down over a math book going through problems.
Well,
we've done it before, and it did not end well. The kids just spent the entire time telling me how I was doing it wrong, or that I was doing it out of order, or that I was doing it wrong. And I've substitute taught before, and that was a lot of what I experienced.
Well, I think that's really common because, like, I am with the kids all day long, so both educationally and really just in life, like, I see the kids a lot more, and so I kind of get to learn how they learn.
Right.
So it is kind of difficult when you're not normally there for their education,
right,
and you try to step in to help and teach them, and then it ends up in a big argument between probably all of us because I'm trying to say, wait. Like, I'm not trying to tell you how to do it, but I am trying to tell you I've learned this is how you need to approach math with him to get the best output and for him to learn the best.
Right.
But also, on Fridays, it's not really a formal schooling day for us. That's kind of like when we do field trips and do life because if you homeschool, you know that homeschooling is not just sitting down and working out of workbooks. It's also there being education all day long in life. There's really no start and end. So when you are home, it's also just involving them in letting the kids help put the side rails on the truck, letting them help clean out the garage, and letting them bang on a hammer and teaching them, oh, it doesn't work if you try to nail that piece of wood into another piece of wood if the nail is not long enough.
And even the other day, we had a couple of old Xboxes that were laying around, and I just said, hey, you guys can take these apart, and we can look at see what makes things work, or what this does, or whatever. And so to show Wesley, this is where all of the stuff that makes the game work, this is where all of it's stored, the hard drive, and explain what a hard drive does, and all these kinds of things. It was kind of a cool process, and to kind of see him, passionate about destroying something, but then also understanding this is what a DVD, what inside the DVD drive looks like, or whatever it was. And so it was cool.
So I guess you don't really get a chance to be that involved with the formal aspect, which some of that is definitely the boring part anyway, but some of it is fun. But you definitely get to be involved in the hands-on part, which is, and part of why we've homeschooled, and I've talked about this before, is with his schedule, he's off on Fridays. So, but he often works on Saturdays and works on Sundays as well. And so having that Friday off, is when a lot of that life skills happen, when they come with us to go buy a truck. And instead of being at school when we're doing the truck buying process, which would probably be easier, you get to hear that negotiation process, and they get to kind of feel that disappointment when we say, I think we're going to walk away from this deal, and just be a part of that process. Which, even if you don't homeschool, you can do that, obviously, but we just would always be doing these things on a Friday as a part of our life anyway, and they would have been at school. So it allows us that opportunity to fit in with our schedule. Seeing as neither of us were homeschooled, we have zero experience with homeschooling, and in fact, we grew up in really small areas where if anyone was homeschooled, we just didn't even know. There were no co-ops, there were no groups. I mean, I graduated with 62 kids or something like that, 63 kids. So my high school was like a small homeschool, it felt like. Like, as silly as that sounds, I graduated with 60-some kids, and you only graduated with a little bit more than that. We lived kind of in the same area. So, knowing that, what did you kind of think when I said, hey, I'm seriously considering homeschooling the kids? Like, what were your first thoughts?
Yeah, I think that for us, the benefit was, even though we grew up in that environment where homeschooling was rare, or it was not as common.
Stereotypical.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, there's a lot of stereotypes that went with homeschoolers, and when we moved to Florida and lived there for several years, the homeschooling was just way more common. It was more widely accepted. It was easier. I think the state kind of did some things to make it easier for parents and families to choose homeschooling, and so then when we
seemed less weird.
Yeah, and
I mean, really, it just did.
And when she tossed out the idea, it wasn't a shocker to me. It wasn't something I thought was an impossible idea that was like really far-fetched. It kind of just was a natural transition for our family to kind of move from being in public school. And again, not that we ever had anything against public school or had a bad experience.
Yeah, I've talked about that before.
All of our schools were great. The teachers were great. Administration was great. We had a really great experience. But for us as a family, our schedule, it just really made sense. And so as we transitioned to it, it made sense. And
Yeah. We're going to wrap it up, because not only is it getting dark, but we have a child over there who is like peering out, looking at us. So, I don't know.
He wants to play some game.
He wants to play a game or something. So, do you see us continuing homeschool? Do you see us graduating our kids, like, as seniors, headed off to whatever careers or education they continue on? Do you see that, or do you see it as flexible? What do you see?
I could see it. I mean, I see it as the possibilities there. I would never rule it out. I've had people ask me, are you going to homeschool in high school with your kids? Are you going to send them to private school or wherever? And it's never like we've not needed to yet. It's not felt like there's been an issue that we've caused us to make that decision.
Yeah.
And
they're still too young.
Yeah, they're still young.
I mean, our oldest is 3rd grade.
Yeah, and so we have plenty of time to think about that and kind of process that. But for right now, I could see you know, the benefits of doing it and seeing them graduate from there.
Whoa, we are blue now.
We are like super blue.
We are really blue.
The Blue Man Crew.
But basically,
we do this.
Okay, so it's getting really dark. I had to turn the light up there on. So basically, we don't know. Because we are not homeschooling because we have something against traditional schooling, we're homeschooling because of our situation. So because it's situational, it's all dependent on if our situation changes. I mean, if I have to go out and get a traditional job, then our kids will have to go to school, and that's okay. And so basically, it's flexible, and we're okay with however it turns out.
Yeah.
Our children are turning lights on. So because our children are turning on and off lights on us, we're going to call it a night. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Good night. Oh, jeez, children. My hair's a little funky.
Funky.
Well, it's because it's the end of the day. Oh, jeez.
I'm trying to do is say I love you. You don't know how I shiver inside.